had quite a tilt last night, which with a ton of anticipation for obvious reasons with the return of Paul Maurice. Let me just ask you this. You were around all day yesterday. What did you make of what we heard from the Winnipeg Jets and the way the team approached it? In particular, some of the long-serving members of the team, i.e. Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler, had to say before they met their old coach.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. If you fast forward to the game and the acknowledgement of Paul Maurice on the bench, you'll notice at some point, he's waving up to the crowd. He's looking up at the Jumbotron. He's got his arm around Jamie Compon. And then he has a look over towards center ice and he gives a little head nod and a point. And I was like, I looked over and there was Blake Wheeler kind of standing at center ice, getting into a place where you could tell he was making sure that he was acknowledging Paul Maurice and having Paul Maurice see that he was acknowledging him. And I thought, that's interesting. And then I looked to see where Mark Scheifele was, and Mark Scheifele was sitting on the bench with his back kind of turned towards the bench of the Florida Panthers. Now, I don't know if it had anything to do with him doing up his skate or whatever, but no doubt in that moment, Blake Wheeler was going out and trying to make a show of appreciation and acknowledgement. And there's no doubt Mark Scheifele was not going out of his way to do that. And then, so if we go back then to the pregame comments, it was interesting because you were talking about the interview that he had with John Liu in the first intermission of the game.
When your former coach, Paul Maurice, was getting a standing ovation from the home crowd, what went through your mind as he was your bench boss for the better part of your career?
Yeah, obviously weird he's on the other side, but great ovation, and now back to hockey. It's a big game for us, and we want to be at our best. So now that that's over, we can go to play hockey and just keep doing what we're doing.
He was asked about it, and it's almost like he's going out of his way to not talk about that situation. And that's what we saw in the morning. I thought it was really interesting. He was asked in the scrum, Mark Scheifele was, what kind of welcome do you think he's going to get by the fans?
I have no idea. I think we've had lots of ex-players come in here, and obviously the fans are always very welcoming. So I guess that's a question for the fans.
And that's an easy way for an athlete to kind of dodge those questions. So I said to him, "Well, Mark, what kind of reception do you think that he should get?" And his response was,
"I have no idea. That's kind of up to the fans. They're the ones that are that's kind of in their hands. So I guess we'll see. I think you never know. They've always been very welcoming to all the players that have left or went on to play on different teams. So I guess we'll see."
This is a guy who's going out of his way to not say something nice about a coach who had, a major impact on his career. If anyone's missing it here, Mark Scheifele is not happy with the way things ended, and his relationship with Paul Maurice is not in a good place right now. After he talked, Blake Wheeler came out and said,
"Having Paul back there, would be a good reception for him tonight. Everything he's done for this organization as well. Like I said, he invested a lot into this organization, and the amount of time he spent, kind of helping us build and get to a point where we can be competitive and, have a chance to win. So I'm sure it'll be a special night for him to come back and spend some time in a town that, he and Mitch, made their home for a lot of years."
Blake Wheeler absolutely pinned the tail on the donkey with this one, saying, what Paul Maurice did was put this organization in a place where it believed it was a winner and came to the expectation that it should be a winner. Because I do think that's what we've seen from the Jets. They got to the point, they made the playoffs in 2015. They rebuilt, but kept pushing their way to get back there, got there in 2018. And even though I think a lot of things went wrong under Paul Maurice's tutelage over the last number of years, the one thing this team always seemed to have was this ability to kind of get itself over the line until last year. So that was an interesting way to put it, but quite the contrast between the two players that I think of most as associated with the Paul Maurice era Winnipeg Jets.
Well, and just specifically to Scheifele, I know he and some others from the Jets camp wanted to make it seem like it was just another home game in the middle of December and one of 82. it was very clear that that was not the case. And I would say that the performance of Scheifele was maybe the best example of that. Now, listen, he's raised his level of play and his level of commitment to both ends throughout the season. But man, I couldn't help but focus in on him last night. And I really thought that was a statement game, not just a statement to himself and his teammates, but to the guy on the other side of the rink.
Yeah, I went as far as saying to me it felt like a revenge game with the way that he was, as icy as he was in his comments beforehand. He said as much, Huss, afterwards.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a good win in my books. Pretty happy with that one. But at the end of the day, we we moved on. We're a different team this year than we were last year, and it's been exciting for a lot of us. I think you see the rejuvenated faces in this room. Bones has really been on us a lot. Each and every day, whether it's a good game or a bad game, he's always looking to help us, and I think it's been awesome for me. It's been awesome for a lot of us that we're being challenged, we're being pushed to reach our full potential, and I think that does a lot for our team.
He wanted to go out there and he wanted, I think, to show what he keeps talking about all the time, Huss, and he's every chance that he can get. So he wouldn't take the chance to talk glowingly about Paul Maurice, but every chance he has, he talks glowingly about his new coach, Rick Bowness. And I think that this was I think he took this as an opportunity to kind of take a look at the guy, sitting behind the other bench and say, hey, look at this. This is what I look like when this guy is running the show. Yeah, I can still score, but I can play defense too, and I'm great on the power play. Everything is all wrapped up into one package here, and this guy over here is getting it out of me. I think, if you don't want to put a negative spin on it, I don't think that we should. I'm not trying to put a negative spin on it. If you want to put a positive spin on this, though, this was Mark Scheifele going out and showing the world and everybody who's listening what he looks like under Rick Bowness and what Rick Bowness has done for his game.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. And listen, the Jets have had a lot of things go their way so far this season. And hey, they're waking up in first place. But I have to think that considering the way the weekend went and the underwhelming game against Columbus and the really poor start and what Bones had to say coming out of the Anaheim game, the timing of Paul Maurice's return was exactly what the doctor ordered for the Winnipeg Jets because they were dialed up and they were ready to go.